now joined at the table by Belmont head coach Bart Brooks and student athletes Tuti Jones and Conley Chin. Coach, if you don't mind starting us off with an opening statement.
Yeah, first, unbelievable respect and admiration for the Oregon program. Coach Graves is he's a class act. He gave my two boys hats, Oregon hats, before the game because he saw him in the hallway, and he's just a really good guy in the profession, a heck of a coach, and they've got a heck of a team. That was a really good team we just beat. So really, a lot of respect for those Oregon kids. The two ladies sitting next to me and everyone in our locker room, I don't think I could be more proud of a group than I am. They had every opportunity to fold, and when it got really hard a lot, and they just always had an answer. They always fought. They found a way. They made a play, and that's our team. That's what we've been. That's who we are, and it was really cool to be in that atmosphere. Great performance. I'm not sure really what happened for a lot of it. It's a blur right now, but really proud of this group.
All right, we'll now take questions for the student athletes. Please raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone to you. Right here in front.
Yeah, Adam Sparks, Knoxville News Sentinel. Conley, you've been here before. When you guys were getting down, what do you think past experience, what part did that play in you guys coming back?
Well, I remember in our first quarter against Gonzaga last year, we were down by quite a bit, and it looked like it could go in a pretty bad direction, but we turned it around. And we came together, we turned it around, and I had, honestly couldn't even tell that we were down by whatever we were down by, because just the fight in this team, like, they're never going to give up, and I'm just so proud of them. And the girls that came in off the bench and played those minutes in the second quarter to get us back where we needed to be, like, I'm so proud of them and just their hard work, and just this team loves each other, and we want to do better than we did last year. And, tougher team won today, and like Coach Bart says, and we really take that to heart, being the toughest team that we can be.
Conley, as a senior, you have another game playing on a prestigious court like the Summit against Tennessee. Just what are your emotions like right now?
I'm really emotional. Like I said, I'm just so proud of this team. My senior year, I couldn't ask for a better one. It's been like a privilege and an honor to be a Belmont Bruin with some really special girls. But just, like Coach Bart said in the locker room right there when we were all cheering, he was like, we didn't come here just to win a game. We came here to win more. And I have all the confidence in the world in our team. And that second round game, we remember what it felt like last year. And just being excited to be in the tournament, and we're not anymore. Like, we want to win. So I'm really excited for what we can do in the next game.
James Creppy with the Oregonian. Conley, walk me through in overtime. I'm assuming you didn't call bank. Just what did you see on that shot? And frankly, did you shoot it too hard and it just happened to go in, or were you actually trying for a bank shot there?
I was trying for a bank shot.
Great answer.
No. No, I was just, first of all, really excited to be out there. The emotions were high and just adrenaline was pumping, but we knew we just needed a shot. And I don't know, I just let it fly, I guess. And the Lord's so good, he let it bank in. So, but I'm sure my teammates would have gotten the rebound and a kick out for a three from Tuti Jones or Jamelyn Kinney. I'm more than confident it was going to happen if I had made it or not.
Cora Hall with the Knoxville News Sentinel. Tuti, you hit a last-second jumper at the buzzer in the first overtime period, I believe, and you looked like you were feeling yourself. But what was it like to have your shots and everyone's shots just hitting right when you needed them to down the stretch?
It felt pretty good. I think that we try to tell each other, even though sometimes our shots aren't falling, that the next one is going in. So, just to see the ball going through the net, it was just so exciting, and it had our adrenaline rushing a lot. So it was just nice to see the ball go in. Anyway, bank or not, we'll take it.
Tuti, it looked like going into the fourth, that maybe they were going to pull away, and it looked like that again in the overtime. The extra push that you guys got, fourth quarter, first overtime, second overtime. Where did that push come from? What was that?
I think we were just feeding off of each other's energy. Like Conley said, it's just fight, and we know that if we can't do anything, one thing we can't control is our fight. So we just kept doing that. We kept playing together and feeding off each other.
We have a question over here on the left.
For each of you, just take me into the huddle at the end of regulation, but also between regulation and overtime, because that three in the corner, when you guys could have fouled, when I understand there's a back screen in the play in order to get Pow open and you're trying to get to Sabali, that can be a momentum killer. That is supposed to, in their mind, deflate you. That is supposed to knock you out, and they are supposed to take care of you in overtime. What were you guys thinking? What were you saying to each other at the end of regulation and between regulation and the first overtime?
This is what we came here for. This is the game we want. And yes, that shot, I remember being underneath the basket and just seeing it go through the net and being like, oh, darn it. But, I mean, we just feed, like Tootie just said, we feed off each other's energy, and we're never going to let a teammate get down or not expect the best out of every single person on this team and what's going to, be the end result of the game. So, I mean, we were just kind of head forward. Let's beat them this overtime.
Yeah, I can definitely say, it did hurt a little bit seeing that go through the net, but more basketball to play, and I think we just did that.
This is for both of you guys. Bart said yesterday when you guys won last year was surreal to look up to empty stands and not have you guys be able to celebrate with your family and friends. This year, you're just 3 hours down the road. There's a lot of Belmont fans here, and you guys looked like you were really enjoying that at the end. What was that moment like for you to have them here?
Incredible. I think we go to the best university in the nation with the best students in the nation and faculty and just everyone around us. That feeling of being able to go over to our parents and our loved ones and point to them like after we just won, and just the love we can feel in the atmosphere at Belmont is just incredible, and I am unbelievably blessed and so proud to be a Belmont Bruin and call it my home.
Yeah, last year was pretty crazy, winning the game, being so happy and so excited, and like looking at my parents from like 100 feet away and like just having a wave. So I can't wait to go out there and hug them because, they made a nice little drive coming to see me. So I can't wait. It's going to be so nice.
Last one in the room, and then we have one in the Zoom.
Therese Walker, the Associated Press. For both of you, you can't rank NCAA tournament wins. They're kind of like children, I'm guessing. But, that comparison, no fans, and being able to immediately share this moment with your loved ones. Does that one, and being in a place where, Tennessee basketball history is pretty well known around here, does that make this one a little more special, or it's just the next one?
Oof. It's so hard to rank them because last year, we made history. It was the first time it had been done in our program. But, I mean, today, you kind of can't get it better than that. That was pretty sweet. So I can't rank them. I think they both have amazing things about them, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. Like I said, it is nicer to like have fans and everybody here, but both of them were a huge moment. So I'm not going to rank them either.
All right, Nancy, go ahead.
Hi, it's Nancy Armour with USA Today. Just curious, you all are the 6th double-digit seed to advance to the second round, and in the men's tournament, when Butler and Gonzaga were doing this about 10, 15 years ago, the fact that they did it on a year-to-year basis really helped in terms of parity and making the tournament special. I'm wondering what you all think about the fact that this is the second year in a row for you, that there are so many double-digit seeds advancing. How big is that for the growth of the tournament and the growth of the game?
Incredible. Like we say in our half-court shots at shoot-around is when someone makes it, it's contagious. So I think whenever a 12 seed sees that other 12 seeds are doing it, it lights some hope up. And so I think definitely just knowing that it can be done, and it's pure heart and just guts to get out there and play against some of the best teams in the nation. And, I mean, I know a lot of women, young women, that are willing to do that. And so I'm really excited to see what the future of women's basketball is, men's basketball, and just seeing how young women can compete together. It's great to see, honestly.
Yeah, I have to say that I think that it's all about just competing until the end, no matter what your seed or what's supposed to happen, like we said earlier, the tougher team is going to win. So I think everybody, no matter what seed you are, should just go out there and fight and see what happens in the end.
All right. Tootie, Conley, thank you for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
We'll now take questions for head coach Bart Brooks. Right here on the right.
Coach, Landon Seekers, Belmont Vision. Obviously, giving up 31 points to the other team's player, Sabali, is not ideal, but how did you navigate through that as a coach, just navigating through foul trouble in the early first half? They had a clear size advantage, but it didn't seem like they had the heart advantage. Is that something you think?
Well, I'm not sure I navigated it very well. I mean, 31's a big number. And that kid is, Sabali is really, really good. I mean, she's a load. I mean, we tried to throw different people at her. We tried to double her, and she split doubles. She's smart. She's crafty. She's so physical. She's a great finisher. We got her to shoot a jump shot at one point, and I was thrilled that she shot a jump shot. But she's really good, and I thought our players did a good job of just competing with her and working to stay clean. You know, looking at this thing, they shot 14 free throws and in 50 minutes of basketball. So I thought we did a pretty good job of staying clean and making her make some tough ones, and she did, to her credit. But yeah, I mean, they were big, and we knew that going in, and they were big when we saw them in person. But yeah, I think just the toughness of this group. You know, we're not going to back down from anyone. We're not scared of size. You know, it's not a height contest. It's a basketball game, and we feel pretty good about playing basketball against anyone.
Over here on the left.
Bart, as I was asking your players, can you speak to just your team's resilience is thrown around a lot. It becomes cliche. Metal is thrown around a lot. But when your best player goes down there with about 15 seconds to go in regulation and they hit a three the way they do, and they save themselves in overtime with game and season-saving blocks in the first, these are all things that a top seed is supposed to do and then pull away from you and put you to bed. How did your team keep responding to each one of these things?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, that three, you know, we had 2 fouls to give, and we intended to use them, but I think the ball maybe just got inside quicker than we wanted, and once it got in there, we didn't want to foul a shooter at that point, and give them, I didn't feel good about us getting a free throw rebound with their size. So I thought our kids did an incredible job of the draining emotion of that moment, that three going in, of snapping out. We didn't snap out of it exactly. We gave up a layup on the jump ball, so we were still probably a little bit of a hangover from that moment. But I think we were down 6 at some point in that overtime, and Tootie Jones makes some big plays, and we get some stops, and see a shot go in. And I think this group has been in those moments. We've been in those situations, in our non-conference season a lot. That we were in those moments, and we didn't execute. We didn't have maybe the toughness that we needed to finish the game. And I think that's the growth of this group throughout the season. Why I was so excited to play in this tournament is because I felt like our team, we're so much better now than we were then. And for a mid-major program, people, I think that everyone says you have to schedule really good if you want to get a good seed. You have to schedule really good. Well, it's really hard to be really good in November and December. It's really hard to have your team playing really well at that time. And as teams go through the ebbs and flows of a year, we get to the end of the year and we're playing our best basketball. And this is where I think we can have a chance to play and compete with some of the best teams in the country. And I think we proved that tonight.
Hey, Coach, Madison Hawk with WBIR TV. Back-to-back NCAA tournaments with wins in the tournament. Conley said they don't want to just make the tournament now, they want to win here. What do you think separates this team from maybe years past?
Madison, it is great to see you. I'm not sure. I think we've got a really good mix of inside-outside balance. You didn't see a lot of inside today. I mean, they smothered our inside pretty well today. We were going to have to get our easy baskets in other ways today, and there weren't a lot of easy baskets to be had tonight. But I think this group, there is a chip on everyone's shoulder that I think probably everyone in that locker room feels like they were under-recruited, or that they could have played at a higher level, and we believe that too. And I think in our recruiting, when I got here, one of the things that that we really tried hard to do was recruit players who we believed wanted to compete at that level and had that competitiveness and that drive, but believed in us enough that we could take them to that level. And I think we've proven that we can do that, and these players are thriving with how we play. I think the synergy and the connectedness of this group is special, and I think you see that when things aren't going well, and that happened a lot today. Things didn't go well a lot, but I think we got to the next play very quickly, and I think that's the sign of a mature team. We're young, but we played a lot of basketball together. So, I just can't give these kids enough credit for just the continued effort they put in. I mean, it is really hard to get one stop against that team. They're really, really good offensively, and I just thought the multiple efforts that our kids made over and over today, that was the difference in the game.
Last question in the room, and then we've got 2 in the Zoom.
Andrew Hobner, KZI TV. Bart, not only did you guys get an upset, someone asked it earlier just about the amount of upsets we've seen in this tournament. Even some 14 seeds have chipped off almost a couple of 3 seeds. You mentioned the chip on your players' shoulders from being under-recruited. Do you think we're kind of entering the era now of more parity within the sport and just a more deep pool of talented players, that a program like yours can get players that probably could be at a Power 5 level?
I hope so. I mean, I sure hope so. I think the exposure, I think the fact that this game was on national television and everyone could watch it, not just a regional market, I think that was huge. That, little girls who've never heard of Belmont, maybe, hey, that's pretty cool little basketball team they have. Maybe I'll look into that school. I think that's just good for the game to have that exposure. So I'm hoping that, I think the parity, I think there's a lot of mid-major teams that are good enough to compete with the big guys. There are. And doing it on a neutral floor, I think, was a really big deal for us, that we weren't, if we were in Oregon's gym today, I'm not sure it would have turned out the way it did. But being on a neutral floor, that's a big deal.
All right, we've got time for 2 quick questions in the Zoom. Nancy, go ahead.
Hey, Bart, Nancy Armour from USA Today. I wanted to follow up on that. 2 questions, actually. What do you attribute the rise in parity or the gap closing? Because we've really seen that in the last couple of years, kind of accelerating. And second, do you want to see the first and second round go away from home sites and go to neutral courts?
Yeah, I mean, first question. I think there's good youth basketball around the country, and I think basketball is a lot more visible now than it was 10, 15 years ago on the women's side. And I think there's a lot of little girls that grow up seeing WNBA on TV. They see the NCAA tournament. You can watch a lot of games now, and I think that exposure has helped grow our game holistically. And the more good players you have, the more chance you have to get a good player if you're recruiting at all levels. So I think there's a lot more good players in the game than maybe there's been 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I think that's helped with the parity. I'm sorry, what was the second question? I'm a one at a time guy.
You mentioned that if you...
Oh, the home court stuff? Yep. I think the most fair way to run a tournament is to have neutral sites. And I think that's, obviously being a team that's never been, 12 seeds been the best we've ever gotten. Being a coach who's played in a lot of these tournaments as an assistant coach at DePaul, and then now at Belmont, I think this is my 4th NCAA tournament. We've had 2 neutral floors, and we won 2 of those games. So, that's a big deal. And, I don't know. I think there's a lot of growth that still has to happen with the women's game. I think it's moving in a really good direction. But I tell you what, I'm excited to play Tennessee at Tennessee. I mean, it's going to be great. I hope this place is packed. I mean, it's going to be a great atmosphere, and it's going to be great for our players to have that opportunity as well.
All right, well, there are no more hands in the Zoom. So, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. And good luck on Monday.
Thank you, guys.
We are now joined at the podium by Oregon head coach Kelly Graves and student athletes Tahina Paupau and Niara Sabali. Coach, if you don't mind starting us off with an opening statement, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes.
First of all, I do want to congratulate Belmont. They earned it. They played really, really hard. They played really well. You know, it's a team that's going to be tough going forward. You know, disappointed certainly. I thought it was neither team shot it well, but I thought it was a well-played basketball game by both teams. Certainly exciting. We both had chances to win, regulation and each overtime, and it just seemed like we didn't make that right play other than the shot at the end of regulation when we needed to, and credit them. The first thing we wanted to do defensively, our game plan was to take away the three-point line, and they made 12. I mean, they took 36, but they made 12. We made 4. So, I'm no rocket scientist, but that's a 20-point difference. So we talked about if we make them make 2s, I didn't think they could make enough 2s to beat us. I still stand by that, but they got 12 threes, and it's just proud of our team. I'm proud that especially these two, they played really, really hard. It's just kind of been our season in a nutshell, to be honest with you. We just have never been able to really put it together. From injuries in the early season to just some inconsistencies late. And, it's disappointing because I felt like we had the kind of team that could win some games in this tournament, but it's not to be.
All right. We'll now take questions for the student athletes.
Niara, that last play in double overtime, was it drawn that you were looking for Tahina there and then she's blanketed on that near side? What happened just right at the end?
Yeah, we drew that play up. It was basically the first open look we could get. Obviously, Tina was our first option, but Sedona shaping up was our second. But they took that away. So
for each of you, Tina, just walk through the final play of regulation, especially really the back screen that Sedona sets in order to get you free there, and what that was like hitting that in Niara at the end of the first overtime to, at that point, save the season. And for you and Kylie to come up with those blocks in those moments that preserved this game, that kept the season alive, those 2 moments.
Yeah, so I wasn't shooting the ball particularly well from the three-pointer, from the perimeter, but that just goes to show that my coaches had trust and faith in me that I'd knock it down from the corner, and Niara had a great pass to me, and I knocked it down.
I don't really know what to say. In that moment, I don't really think in those moments. It just kind of happened. So, obviously it was a great block in the end, but I also got screened before that. So, felt great in the moment. Doesn't really matter now, if you ask me.
Question over here on the left again.
Niara, I'm not going to bother to ask you about future. Your mind's everywhere. But if this is the way to go out, that is without question the best game of your career, by far. That is a career high in scoring. That is nearly a triple-double. And obviously you played with Sab and knows what that means. What does this I know it's in a loss, but what does it mean to you that you just went out and had far and away the best game of your career in this tournament? You waited this long. There were people in the building. This has been quite the journey.
Yeah, it was a good game. It looks good on paper, but I don't really feel too great right now. I could have put up 60 points for all I care, but in a loss, it just doesn't sit that well. I know it's probably good for my stats and stuff, but I don't know. I can't really think about the points I scored or the blocks I had or the rebounds. It just hurts right now. So yeah, I don't really know what to say.
Tahina, you weren't able to be in the tournament last year with the injury. You got the experience and were at the end of regulation the person with the ball in your hands to hit that shot. What's that journey just kind of been from where you were last year sitting and watching this all unfold to being the person in that moment on this stage?
It was a great experience. March is very much madness, obviously. Just to experience that, it was a great ride for me, but we're going to come back stronger next season.
A couple more for the student athletes.
Tahina, wanted your perspective on this team was not as strong from three, and obviously you guys lost some shooters in the offseason in T. Mike and Jazz. That was, and frankly, in Chavez. Is it as simple as that? Is that three really talented shooters, as talented as some of you guys are from three? This was a weaker three-point shooting team compared to last year, compared to any of Kelly's teams. How does that get fixed going forward? Does somebody else need to come in to help you guys? Is it about spreading the floor? Is it about distribution? What's going to be the fix to improve that next season?
I mean, we obviously lost great shooters, but we also had to play with the players that we had this year. And even though we were one of the weaker teams in the perimeter, we still had great inside game. And in order for that to get better, we just got to get in the gym and come together and be more consistent.
Any more questions for our student athletes? Okay, thank you both for joining us.
Good job, you guys. Take off.
We'll now open up for questions for Oregon head coach Kelly Graves. Right here on the left.
Kelly, so many of those moments down the stretch, from drawing up a play, that well-designed play, by the way, at the end of regulation to get that, especially when they have their best player down moments earlier, the season-saving blocks from Niara and Kylie at the end. Those are the moments that a higher seed is supposed to take advantage of and put a team away that's a mid-major. How were you guys unable to capitalize on those by the end of it?
Well, and I think we started both overtimes with leads. I think 6 maybe in the first and 4 in the second. And, we just didn't tighten it up defensively. I thought there were some 50-50 loose balls on rebounds that they seemed to get. I thought there was about a 2-minute or maybe 1-minute stretch. I can't remember now, regulation or first overtime, where we just went too fast and had a couple of turnovers that we shouldn't have. I thought, we got the ball inside when we needed to. I thought we had opportunities at the rim that coulda, shoulda. You got to make in these kind of games. You got to make those. Bottom line is, though, I think we just so inconsistent. Our shooting has not been great. And when you have a night with, Niara had, like you said, one of her best games, if not her best game, we just needed one more. And it's funny, we put on the board and our keys to success, every possession matters, 40 minutes. How about the offensive rebound they got with a second to go in the first half? I mean, that's the tough part about losing close games. It's one play here, and you can go, gosh, if we would have just done this and this and this. And it's kind of been a microcosm of our season, quite frankly. We just have never really been able to put everything together. And that's on me. That's my fault. I didn't pull the right triggers. The question about the shooting, I mean, we're a better team than we were last year. So we didn't win 2 games in the tournament like we did, but I thought we were a better team. We don't have the dead eyes, and we've got to, either just get in the gym and be better for what we have, or go get some others. But I think what we have is enough, and it just wasn't tonight. And I credit Belmont. Those guys, you say mid-major, I say bullshit. They're a good team, man. That's a good team.
Here on the left.
Kelly, the last 2 years, I think you've remarked at various points how they've been uniquely challenging in their own ways. As this program's gotten to this level where you've gone from the hunter to the hunted, and perception-wise nationally, what's been unique just about the challenges of these past 2 seasons specifically?
Well, there was never a season like last year, so we'll just throw that out. This was difficult. I mean, it was just difficult. And I'm not going to make excuses, because we had everybody available in this tournament. But you guys well know we never played with our best team until January. Okay, and we showed some flashes of really good basketball. We've shown flashes of not very good basketball. The consistency just wasn't there. I think at times our players have acted and performed entitled. I mean, we have had a nice run. This is the first time since 2000, well, I mean, we've made it at least to the Sweet 16 every year since 2017. First round exit in a long time. You know, this group hasn't won anything. We haven't won a Pac-12 championship. We haven't won in the NCAA tournament with great depth. So, you know, I think we've got to come back and work harder and be tougher. I think at times we're not tough. I think there were times tonight. I mean, at some point you just say, hey, toughen up, let's go. Okay, I know you're banged up, don't matter. We need you. And I just think, you know, that happens, and I think it's a mindset. I think we've got to come back and hungrier, because we're no longer the hunted. You know, we're hunting like everybody else.
A couple more in the room, and then we have 2 in the Zoom.
You touch on it there, Kelly, and we've obviously spoken throughout the season about this sort of issue. You mentioned the dead eye, so okay, looking for skill is one thing, but much of what you speak of is the intangible. How will you go about identifying the players you've signed, but in terms of any other additional talent acquisition, the portal, et cetera, identifying personality, identifying the alpha who you have not had these past 2 seasons?
Yeah, well, that's the golden question. I mean, we're all searching for that. Some have it, some don't. You know, and it's kind of funny, in the last few recruiting cycles, we haven't had a chance to do in-home visits and find out. I think you find out a lot when you sit down in somebody's living room. We haven't had to do that, or we haven't been able to do that in the last couple of years. And so, yeah, we're missing that alpha. And oftentimes, if it comes from the coach, that leadership, then we're in trouble. You know, and we have leadership capability, and leadership shows up from time to time, but it's the consistency. It's if I had to kind of boil the whole season down into one word, it's inconsistencies. Daily effort, game production, leadership, coaching. I didn't do a great job. I was inconsistent as well. Same with my staff. We've just got to somehow either nurture that, recruit that, empower that. You know, we've just got to do a better job, and we didn't. And I thought it came back to bite us tonight, and it certainly did in several games this year. That being said, you know, James, seriously, I'm really proud of our crew. I don't want to be down. I'm disappointed about the loss. Not disappointed about the season. I love these guys. This group has really been close knit. I think at times that hurts us on the court because we're all pretty nice to each other and things like that. But you know, we did a lot of really, really good things. I mean, and you know the challenges that we've had, the multiple games, and we really didn't have a chance to work on us for the last month until the last few weeks, and you know, and that hurt. But I don't want to take anything away from Belmont tonight. Those kids earned it. They earned it. I'm happy for them that they're moving on. Obviously disappointed that we're not, but this isn't a get back to the drawing board. Yeah, we're not to that point. Yeah, we just got to do better.
Here on the left, then one on the right, and then we'll take 2 in the Zoom.
Kelly, defensively, this team played pretty well today on, you know, in most stretches, and over the course of this season has looked pretty good in most stretches. That seems like it's been a pattern now for a few years, since really I think after that Final Four, when you mentioned wanting to make this team a bit more of a defensive presence. Have you sensed that change this year? Is there, you know, any, I know you lost, but like, is there any sense of pride in just the defensive effort that's been put in on that side of the ball and the improvements made there this year?
Yeah, our defense was better this year. There's no question about it, significantly better. Now, that being said, there were stretches, you know. You can't give up threes in overtime when you've built a lead. Make them make the twos. And we just, you know, we helped on a, you know, off the strong side shooter. Just, you know, they mean well, but tactically that's not what you can do. And then they made you pay. They made you pay. Yeah, offensively, I thought this year was our challenging side of the ball. Our defense was pretty consistent. Our numbers have been better than they've been in a long time, since I've been here anyway. It's just now offensively we've struggled a little bit. I think we have good offensive players. It's just not quite, we're just not quite there, again, with the consistency.
You're on the right.
Coach Maria Cornelius, 247 Sports Tennessee. It is a quirk of the women's tournament that, you know, a 5 seed would travel this far to play a 12 seed. And you mentioned yesterday it essentially became a home game for Belmont. Is that just where the women's game is right now, or is there a chance to look at where you could perhaps create a field that doesn't give one team such a, you know, an advantage on what is supposed to be, of course, a neutral court?
Yeah, listen, the crowd didn't affect the game tonight. You know, I hate to say anything because the knuckleheads who haven't followed me in the past, they're going to read a quote, and then they'll say, oh, yeah, sour grapes, on and on. I just think the women's NCAA tournament needs to evolve and continue to strive to make it a better product, fair. Hey, listen, tonight was a good basketball game. You know, people were treated to an exciting game. Crowd, no factor. The travel wasn't a factor. I've never been that. I'm never going to make, you know, put blame on that kind of stuff. We had our chance. We had shots at the rim. We had an open three-point look when we were down 2 there in the second overtime. You make that, and who knows how this thing goes. We had our opportunities, okay? And whether that was in Tennessee, North Dakota, Texas, or Oregon, I don't think it would have mattered. So I just think we need to continue to make this game a better and brighter experience for everybody and make it truly a fair event. But people are always going to kind of play close to home, things like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach. We'll let you get out of here on that one.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you all for joining us today.